Now remember, all things work together together for good to them that love the Lord. All things work together for good to those that love the Lord. That's a promise. So you get to define its outcome today. Change your definition, consider it all joy, and watch your faith grow, your endurance increase, and your life will begin to change. Have you came here today and want to change something about your life? Anybody here? Have you said, I need something to change in my life? I'm going to help you so you can do this. Proverbs 11:27. He who diligently, Proverbs 11:27, he who diligently seeks good seeks favor. But he who searches after evil, it will come to him. That's pretty heavy, isn't it? I'll say it again. He who diligently seeks good seeks favor. But he who searches after evil, it will come to him. I mean, you know, when you search after an argument, you'll get one. Some people are just love to argue. When you search for a negative thought, do you know that Satan has a bag of them and he'll make sure you get plenty of them? If we're not careful, we create habits of feeding on the negative and the negative junk being offered to us on a daily basis. I'll give you a couple examples. How many of you know if we're not careful, we're downloading and feeding off of junk that's coming in every single day? Can you hear me now? Give you an example. The news alone, I like the news. I've watched the news. And over the last maybe half a year or so, I've done something to work on my own life some way. And what I do is, before I go to bed, I shut the news off if I have it on. Now, I don't always have it on, but I'll shut it off if I'm watching it. I might be reading, but for me, I can do 3, 4, and 5 things at a time. Sometimes I'm writing, sometimes I'm reading, sometimes I'm reading a magazine, sometimes I'm reading an article, sometimes I'm reading something on YouTube, and I'm doing all these at one time, and sometimes the news is on. And I'll shut the news off at night because I found that the negativity of that news when I went to go to bed was agitating me to get mad at some of the idiots that are on there. And because in my sleep I can't do anything. Now I can when I vote, but I can't do anything in my sleep. I just stop letting a negative download into me, so I go to bed and can't sleep. Some of you go to bed and you don't get to sleep at night because you dwell on negative so much that your spirit is agitated and you're always in a constant battle and you never get to rest. And you wonder why you can't sleep. Sleeping Beauty ain't coming your way. Hello. The reason is you've been arguing with somebody in your head all day long. They ain't even showed up. I see people in their car and they're going, and you know there ain't no fool in the car. But they're telling somebody, they're giving them a piece of their mind. I always tell you, look, don't be giving a piece of your mind to somebody when you ain't got a whole lot to work with in the first place. But people will have an argument in their soul and they'll go to bed with that. That's why the Bible says, do not let the sun set on that disagreement. And how do you know you can go to bed and you can be agitated? That's why you have to be careful of not letting the world download all this negativity inside of you. If you don't renew our minds, if we don't renew our minds, we can fall into the trap of allowing an old, untrusty, negative, fearful, doubting mind to rehearse old wounds of lying disappointments which make us see people, and especially loved ones, around us incorrectly. Let me give you an example. You can go to bed tonight because of last Friday afternoon's ugly event at your job. And you can go to bed tonight and rehearse that in your sleep and Monday morning you can write it down, you are guaranteed to have a bad day. You know, some people, husbands and wives, the wife will rehearse that thing all day long. And Earl comes home and he's hit. And he ain't even thought about it. But all day long, let me tell you, you want to touch this? You got to listen. So Earl comes bopping in. Hey, honey. And now Earl goes away. He's got to do some calisthenics and get this thing figured out. Because attitudes are created in these moments that you could redefine something and you could change it from a clash to an embrace. We need to train our eyes to see evidence of his presence, not evidence of his absence. You need to train your eyes to see the evidence of God being present than to have them trained in seeing the evidence of where he's not at. I mean, a lot of people can see things and they'll come to church like this and they'll say, that song they sang. How many songs they sing? Oh, they sang 10, but that song, that's it. Come on. I mean, one thing can make you view everything incorrectly. And that's why James says we need to every day consider that's why I said consider men. Consider fathers. That maybe there needs to be a redefining of some issue with those fathers. You don't have to like that, but that's your deliverance. Why train our eyes? The Bible says whatever you're looking for is what you will eventually see. Whatever you're looking for, you will eventually see. If you are a predator and you have a lustful eye, you will eventually see what your eye is trying to see. Boy, it's quiet in here now. What happened to all that laughing and shouting? All that waving at me stuff. I just slipped right up in that room and you were, what's he doing in this room? Have you ever noticed that when you want to buy something, I'm going to use my wife's example, but let me help you. You ever notice when you want to buy something, everywhere you look, someone is wearing the thing or driving the thing you want to buy. But in the beginning, you ain't never seen it. My wife wanted a Mini Cooper. Now, we saw movies years ago, and they had these little Austin Mini Coopers, they were called, little teeny wheels, and they were fast as lightning, and they were funny little cars. And then the BMW people came out with the nicer size Mini, still a Mini. And my wife said, oh, I think it's so cute. That's what I want. And I went and bought her one. I bought her two. She had one and wore it out, got a second one. And when I first bought it, I ain't seen no Minis. Ain't nobody got no Mini. I didn't even know where to go to find a Mini. So I go find the thing. We buy the thing. I'm sitting at a stoplight. She's got a little 5-speed little thing, and she got the S one, it boom, quick as lightning. And it was like driving a go-kart. You turn it, and the whole thing just. And so, I had to take it away from her and give her a Mercedes because she was driving on 95, and these tractor trailers would go by her. And I was just afraid one of them was just going to pass over. She'd be underneath them. They wouldn't even know she was under there. And when they went by, they would just blow that little car. And I said, no, I ain't doing that. We're getting you something big time. So we got a little bit bigger. Well, what I first did was I bought an Excursion. I reacted. I went from a Mini to an Excursion, the longest, biggest vehicle that Ford made. I said in my attitude, truck, mess with this. Then I had to retract, so I got it settled. But I got in that car, I don't think we had it a week, and I'm at a stop sign, and I'm ready to bust out and say, look at this thing, man, this is nice. And I looked across from me, there was a white one. And I said, oh God. And then I looked beside me, the person drove up. There's another one there. There's 3 of us sitting at the same light, and I ain't ever seen one before. Y'all understand what I'm saying? And what happens, listen to the reason now. I haven't seen that before. Look at it. Her little Mini was a perfect example. Psalm 109, verse 17. He also loved cursing, so it came to him. He did not delight in blessing, so it was far from him. If you are not looking for what's good, then even what good there is present will be difficult to recognize. Come on. I'll say it again. Psalm 109, verse 17. He also loved cursing. Some of you love cursing. Do you know why do they call it cursing? Duh. When you speak with that negative spirit and you say to somebody, you need to go to, you're cursing them. So you're operating under a spirit of witchcraft. Oh boy, now I have messed up some of you's day. Some of you's vocabulary just went like this. You're going to be like an illiterate moron because you don't know what to say tomorrow at work. It happened during revival. In the Welsh revival, the coal miners were down in the coal mines. This is a true story. You can check it out. And they were the roughest men of the whole region. In the Welsh revival, they were down there, man. They would cuss and yell and kick and spit, and man, and they got saved. 100 and some thousand came into the kingdom. And the mules down there, the donkeys and the mules, it was really mostly mules. The mules would not do anything that the coal miners told them to do. And they could not figure it out. They would go to the mule and say, come on, mule. All right, mule, let's go. Mule said, sorry, I can't understand you. If you went, hey, you dumb blankety, you need to move your blankety blank, blank, blank. The mule took off. Lord. He also loved cursing, so it came to him. You love to curse, it's going to come back to you. It's the boomerang. And he did not delight in blessing. There are those that don't delight in the blessing, so it was far from them. If you're not looking for what's good, then even what good there is present will be difficult for you to find or to recognize. If you don't look for good in your husband, ladies, you're going to have a hard time finding it. If you don't look for good, men, in that woman that God gave you, you're going to have a hard time finding it. And kids, if you don't look for good in that mommy or daddy or both, you're going to have a hard time finding it. Oh, but let me help you. If you don't look for good in the voice that's speaking to you on behalf of God, you're going to have a hard time handling it, receiving it, and accepting it as being from God. Wow. You still here today? Yes. All right, I'm going to land. 1 Samuel 24, 4 and 6. Turn it on the board, please. Put it on the board, please. 1 Samuel 24, 4 and 6. Behold, I'm about to give your enemy into your hand, and you shall do to him as it seems good to you. David had Saul in his grip. And God says to David, David, I'm going to give you your enemy right in your hands, and you shall do to your enemy as it seems good to you. David knew God's voice, and he knew God was dealing with him.